Hi friends and family, it's Miss Jo coming at you from Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island. Today is Monday, April the 20th. And today we're going to talk about some more of Counselor Carey's worry strategy cards. Today's cards are more worry busting strategies. So these ones are going to have different themes. I think we're mostly going to focus on one card today because it's something I talk about a lot. If you know me, you've likely heard me talk about this. And it is, can you control that? So when we are worrying about things and when we are being upset about something, one of the big things, one of the first questions you need to ask yourself is, do I have control over that? If it's something you can control, well, then there's something you can do about it. But if it's something you can't control, there's nothing you can do about it. And so worrying about it is not going to help your situation any. So I'm going to go ahead and read the card and we'll talk more about the things on here. Can you control that? Examine your worry thought. Is that something that is under your control? Or is it outside of your control? If it's outside of your control, refocus your mind on something that you can control. If it is in your control, take a positive action. So positive action is something that's going to help you solve a problem or make a situation better. So some things that are outside of your control would be other people's behaviors, the past, your parents' jobs, the weather. Nobody controls the weather. The future, other people's words, and other people's efforts. And then some of the things that are under your control include my words, my behaviors, my reactions, my choices, and my effort. So those are things that are under your control. So let's talk about a few examples here now. So other people's behaviors. Do you have control over whether other kids or your neighbors or people in your neighborhood are practicing physical distancing? Nope. Dr. Heather Morrison has done her best to tell people that this is what we need to do, and you can't control it if other people aren't listening. What you can control is whether you listen, whether you're doing it, and whether you're washing your hands and staying away from people who you know aren't doing that, not being around people who aren't in your home. That's something that you do have control over, and that's the good news. So that gives you a little bit of power in that situation. Those people might not be doing it, but that doesn't mean I don't have to do it, and it doesn't mean that that I can ignore it as well. So the past, something that's already happened, we cannot go back and make changes to the past. We can learn from the things that have happened in the past, and we can apply it to situations that are happening now. And we can learn from our mistakes. So that's the good thing about the past. We can't go back and change it, but we can learn from it, and we can use that information when we come across a similar situation again in our lives. Your parents' jobs. Do you pick your parents' jobs? No, I don't think so. My child didn't pick my job. I chose that. Sometimes you might not be happy with what your parents' job is. Maybe it keeps them away from home too much. Or maybe they're a frontline worker right now and you're worried about them. Well, just like my husband's a respiratory therapist. And so he works in the hospital with sick people right now. But my little girl does not have control over that. So what she can do is she can make sure that she practices her hand washing and that sort of thing, and that she practices her physical distancing. And when my husband is at home, he makes sure that he washes his hands and that he practices all of his safe practices at work, wearing his personal protective equipment and washing his hands as often as possible. And those are things that he can control, even though he did choose his job, but he can't control what happens around him, and our little girl definitely can't control that. And I can't control that. So what we can do is make sure that we're doing what we can to protect ourselves. Let's see, we have the weather. I wish I controlled the weather. I'd make it sunny and really kind of nice out all the time, I think. Maybe some rain overnight for the farmers. But no, we don't control the weather, so there's no point in getting upset about it. What we can say is, oh well, maybe the weather will be nicer tomorrow. Or what is it that we can enjoy while the weather is poor? The future. you don't control the future, and there's no point in worrying about the future. What you can do is, make choices that will set you up to be in a good place so that whatever happens in the future, you'll be ready for it. Other people's words. Sometimes other people's words can be hurtful to us, but we don't have control over them. What we can control, though, is how we react to them. I always say that we should treat people the way that we want to be treated rather than the way that they have treated us. And that teaches people how to treat us, is how we treat them. Other people's efforts. So if you're saying, well, my brother or my sister didn't have to do that, they didn't try, they didn't do their best, so I don't need to either. Well, no, you can't control what they do, but you can control what you do. You can make your choices. So your words, your behaviors, that's a tough one. Sometimes kids say to me, sometimes I can control my behaviors, but sometimes it feels like I really can't because I get so mad or I get so upset. And that can be hard because you're a kid and you're learning how to control your behaviors. So the good news is that if you make a mistake, then you move past it and you say, what went well for me and what didn't go well for me? How did that work out for me when I reacted that way? And so you can look back on it and you can learn from it so that in the future you can make better choices when a similar situation comes up. And that gives you some power and some control. Your reactions, that's kind of in the same thing that we just talked about. Your choices and your efforts. So nobody expects you to be perfect. Your effort is an important one. Everyone expects you to try your hardest and to try your best, but nobody expects perfection from anybody. And if anybody does, that doesn't make any sense because people aren't perfect. We're imperfect creatures. We make mistakes, and the important thing is that when we make mistakes, we learn from them so that we can choose better in the future. Thank you for listening today. We just went over the one card today because there was so much information in it. And I'll be back tomorrow to talk to you about another worry busting strategy. Bye-bye.